guess let's just fire it up right here. We'll do maybe a little bit of the rebuild process, but we have to have some sort of an intro to another episode here now that Isegund takes over. We're in prison. The Khazate forces are off and about to the next location of ours that they're going to take and sack. Things look pretty grim here, but that's the nature of this kind of campaign. So, welcome back again, friends, to another episode of Tactical Enlightenment. Our YouTube channel is dedicated to all things Bannerlord related. We'll do a very brief update. If for some reason you missed last episode, you're going to be disappointed. King Hal was killed in a huge, sprawling slugfest that seemed to last for 3 hours. At the very end of the battle, fighting with his men, the king went down. We lost by a very close margin. Maybe we could have waited a little bit longer for reinforcements, but I also observed reinforcements didn't join, and now Isegund is in charge, right? Isegund, the sister of King Hal. You can't put stupid Henry in charge, right? Of course, we'll roleplay a little bit. Wait a minute. Traveling to Maranath. Traveling to Rotai. What is happening here? What did I miss? We don't have any control over diplomacy, right? These kingdoms are supposed to be in alliance. We're role-playing a little bit here, but I guess they have just taken their alliance papers and thrown them in the garbage. The Khazate's at war with everybody. When did this happen? I didn't even see this. Autumn 3? Okay, the asteroid just declared it on them. I didn't see that either. Autumn 3 happened days ago. Somehow I missed it. Oh well, all right. Well, the Khazate are off, right? They're in their conquer the whole universe mode here, and I like it because this campaign continues to be an amalgamation of things that I'm doing behind the scenes, such as, killing off Ragnar, stuff like that, or Ragenvad rather. We're doing little things behind the scenes, but things keep happening on their own, right? We have all this death happening. And the family tree here, the family picture is starting to look like an episode of Game of Thrones, right? Where we're really starting to run out of characters. It's been a bloody, chaotic campaign, and hopefully you guys are enjoying that fact, right? It adds suspense, I hope. It adds a level of realism and seriousness to these episodes, even if we are indeed just playing a game. Now, we're not going to have peace here. So Isegund is in charge now, and she's got a decent skill set. It's going to be interesting developing and getting used to her skill set. Yeah, she's going to remain in charge here. She's crowned as the queen. It says of the Vlandians. Of course, the Vlandians are long gone, but there she is. She evidently they let her out of prison to hoist her flag. I don't think that would be a thing. And we continue here, right? We got to get out of prison here and try to pick up the pieces. Oh shit. What's happening here? Okay, we could get out of prison, accept this offer. And there's a war raging around us here. This is fascinating. So the Khazate were allied with the Sturgians literally one episode ago. We were fighting both of them. And very suddenly, King Canute is sieging by himself. This is how badass their king is. He's like, I don't need an army. I'll just start sieging. Give me a catapult. And that's Ragnar. So they have two different lords that are sieging castles on their own. And then they have two huge armies here coming down to retake Legetta that the Khazate just took from us. Like I said, welcome back again, friends, to our Epic Vlandian campaign. I'm really digging it because it's a mix of, oh shit, this is nice. This is King Hal's armor, which I suppose was Ryland's armor beforehand, right? Actually, I suppose it was the Baron's too. I think that armor has been passed down multiple, maybe 2 or 3 different times in this campaign. It's probably got a nice earthy smell to it. Some robust odors in that piece of armor. All those savage battles. But that's nice that Isegund can take that. We're going to just try to keep on going here, right? We've got to remake an army. We've got to call some troops to us if there are any armies in the field. Fortunately, we have a nice foundation here, right? The campaign is not, we're not on death's door or anything like that, right? We have this base of cities. In fact, look at that shit. You rarely see that. 1,600 defenders at Pravend. That's virtually impregnable. We're going to go restock our army. Like I said, I think we'll show you a little bit of this rebuilding process. As there's chaos all around us. There's basically a huge barroom fight, and we're trying to escape without getting hit in the face by a thrown bottle or something like that. The Sturgians, the Aserai, and the Khazate now are fighting in this wild campaign and War of the Four Powers, right? That was the intent all along. And the system mostly on its own, is doing some beautiful things here. Of course, like I said, I have done a little bit of stuff behind the scenes to make this work for you fellas, to make it exciting. We've boosted some enemy characters, and prior to the War of the Four Powers, obviously, I had it in my mind to eliminate certain kingdoms to get to this stage. And now we have this wonderful sort of balance of power. It's almost like Europe in the 16th, 17th century, where there was just non-stop fighting. Bad for humanity, but great for the history lovers who love to hear about this battle and this guy. And a fascinating time historically, and hopefully this campaign has been fascinating for you fellas to watch. I don't think we'll show you too much of this rebuild process here. It is indeed King Canute. We could almost attack him on our own, but never mind. He just made it into the settlement, and we're getting attacked by looters. So we've got some chaos in this campaign, but we're going to be able to make our way over to Jakulan, and then up hopefully to Provend here, rebuild this army, get back on our feet, and I think we'll head to Oxhall. Since we're going to go to Provend to restore our army here, I think Oxhall makes the most sense. It helps that our enemy is fighting each other, right? Whether it's at Rotai or Legetta, that's definitely good news for us, right? If our enemies are busy for a little bit here, we got to gather up some companions. We'll do a little bit of editing, I think, and we'll speed this process along for you fellas so that it's not too painful. And some level, you know, you kind of want to fight these battles because we've got a bunch of low-level troops from these cities and garrisons, and this is a really nice way to auto-resolve and get 186 upgrades, even though we suffered a lot of death there. The good news is a lot of that was recruits, right? They're going to trial by fire. Those who survived, they're the ones that are going to be fighting in the next battle as footmen or swordsmen or whatever, right? We get lots of upgrades, and we desperately need that at this stage. It looks like the garrison at Oxhall was vast enough that it's going to survive, and these are some of the campaign strategy things we talk about all the time. It started over 1,000. Even though we've taken a week to get up here to Oxhall, the city is still going to survive till we get there. Sargat is besieged. So we are besieged. There are 1,200 at Sargat. They're sieging Fracturi Castle. Hold on to your hats, friends. It's this campaign. I know some guys, like, they want it to end, right? Or they want some finality to it, but you can't just snap your fingers, right? You've got to have some victory before you can snap your fingers and say, all right, and dust your hands and say, job well done. First, we've got to take care of business here at Oxhall. We've got a huge garrison here. Provend has been our spot where we've been stockpiling good troops the whole campaign. You guys hear me talk about campaign strategy. You hear me talk about having a rebuilding castle, a capital, right? We've been pouring food into Provend virtually the whole campaign. It has huge prosperity. Because of that, it has a gigantic militia. It's been 12,000 prosperity at times. And look at this garrison, right? Now, it's not all upgraded. It's pretty good, though, right? There's a lot of good troops here, and I'm just going to take all this shit here. We're going to have to make some armies, and we're going to have to make armies in an unusual way. I don't really think we have the right people. Oh, these guys are here. Okay, so we've got companions that are here at Provend, Berwyn, Garrison, and Gothren. You got a funny looking hat there, Gothren. I don't remember doing that to you. Maybe the system did. All right, we're just going to take, like, I don't know, like 300 of these troops because we need these badly. And then we need to make some armies. I think I'll just keep narrating, and, you know, we'll talk a little bit about this while I load these armies up. Should be able to do this in 60 seconds. But guys ask all the time, you know, what is a capital city? What are you talking about? What is a stockpile? And what we're always referring to here is essentially a location, right? Just like the rich people, they always have a safety deposit bank box somewhere full of diamonds and Bitcoin and gold and a gun, just like Jason Bourne. You know, I'm only partly joking. People with means, people with resources, they're wise enough to squirrel some away, right? When you have a lot of resources in a campaign, you want to start putting horses and grain and fish and all your extra food things and just pour it into cities. You want to have 10 or 15,000 grain if you can. That way, once you get to that level, you can start every single time you go to the city. Just drop 1,000 or 2,000 grain into the market, help those peasants eat. That increases the prosperity. That in turn increases the militia size, the building speed, the siege defense capabilities of it, everything, right? It's incredibly important. And so you get sort of an ancient version of London, right? You know, one of these huge medieval cities where back then huge was 200,000 or 300,000, right? Constantinople, etc. And if you have a foundational base like that in a location, then you can also start putting huge garrisons, because the garrison then protects the food and the food feeds the garrison. And the market, you can get 250,000 every single time you visit it, because there's a huge amount of commerce going on. And there's just many, many benefits to it, not the least of which, of course, is if it's sieged, you can immediately dump food on all the people from your private stash, right? So there's many benefits to it. And in this case, the huge benefit is instantly we have an army of 13, 14, 1,500, and we're going to be able to go out and make an impact. That can't have been a week. Well, maybe it was a week and a half from the time we were captured, because we sat in prison for a little bit. 15, 17. This looks doable. The garrison should sally out here, and Isagun gets her first test, right? We've had a bunch of these first tests, and she's bow. Okay, bow glaive. It shouldn't be too hard to use her. We'll probably use her bow sparingly, although we want to level up her athleticism. She has 10 points to endurance, but she doesn't have very high athleticism yet, so I'm going to purposefully get off the horse in this battle, as long as it doesn't look like we're losing. And do a little bit of foot fighting. We got to increase her athleticism. We picked up some nice banners and just distributing here to all the different captains. And we're missing a lot of people, right? We have Gotren. We have, you know, some of our key infantrymen, but we're also missing 4, 5, 6 people from the party. So we're going to continue to try to retrieve companions and family members. But before we do that, right, we've got to get through this wall of iron here. Another tough Norse force. Bodvar the Bear. We've got some of these Patreon supporters and other friends of the channel who have characters that they have helped us form for this campaign. Gives it a lot of character, I hope. And they're just dumping us in here. I guess because I don't know. I guess because the siege is ongoing. I think if this was King Hal, we would have all the pre-set up, but I don't know. There's a bunch of different factors that go into it. And maybe it's tactics, skill, or something else. But sometimes, maybe it's because the city is not ours. I think if the city was ours, we would be allowed to set up a defense force. It doesn't really matter. We're getting charged very quickly by a bunch of infantry. So what we need to do is get our forces to the edges of the map. You basically, you know, you're forming that bucket. It's going to be a kill box. We've got a good assortment of troops here. I had to divide our units on the fly, but the system does a pretty decent job of putting shock troops in the 3rd Division like we want it. It does a good job of putting the 6th Division where there'll be a lot of skirmishers in there so that those guys can throw javelins. And it is just a huge line of Norse and Sturgian iron. I am filming this before the release of the DLC. Of course, we're all highly anticipating the Norse Nord units being badass, right? These Huskarls. And they're coming in hot. We're going to have to... This is going to be a bloody battle for sure. And the early stages here are going to be key. We've got to handle this vanguard here without too many losses. It's an even fight. I'm going to leave the power bar up probably for this kind of a battle. I guess reinforcements could come in. That would be a disaster if all of a sudden another Sturgian force poured into the action. But since we adjusted the reinforcement system, it's been a lot more sane. Usually if you can't see forces, they won't join, right? Like if you can see them at the edge of sort of the campaign view, you know, from the scouting perspective, then they might join the battle. But if you can't see them, you don't get armies out of nowhere, and I think this is a good way to balance the system. We pulled this square of infantry right back into the loving caress of our crossbow skirmishers, shock troop murderers, and let's get horse archers behind the enemy. The full kill box here, right? This is a force that we have to kill efficiently, and obviously we have to win this battle, right? This is an essential battle for the campaign. We're not in a must-win situation, but you just can't afford to lose this, right? This would set us back hugely. We would have to try to go get more reinforcements. We would lose Ox Hall. We're not losing this fucking battle. Now the death span looks pretty good. We've got them bound up pretty good there on that infantry knoll. Let's charge both wings. This 6th Division will shove right in their face full of skirmishers. And she's awkward, right? She's not King Hal. She doesn't have 330 weapon skill, but, you know, she's killing people, and it won't take too long for me to get comfortable with it because she's got decent polearm skill, and more importantly, I think she can get to 330, right? She's got 10 strength. She was built to be a warrior princess. And even though that's going to hurt her command ability and make it so that she doesn't have good siege skills, etc., we're going to figure that part out, right? It's definitely my preference that you're a leader first, steward skill, etc. But it is what it is. Just like when King Hal had like 30 polearm skill, we make it work. Right? The next thing you know, he's killing half the army by himself. All right, we've got them divided pretty well, and we're going to definitely be able to soak up the rest of their vanguard here, and it's a good opportunity to get on foot. We've got the enemy cut off, right? They have archers and reinforcements coming up behind this huge wave. It's still not dead, right? There's just blue shields everywhere as these incredibly tough Sturgian infantry units continue to amplify this campaign for the 12th time. Thank you, Isaac, for making such a great mod. It's been exemplary in making this campaign so difficult, right? These are just Sturgian units. They just break right here and the battle's over. We've got to just grind our way through these troops. I think I just gained a level. It doesn't really matter. I don't even think I killed anybody. Maybe just knocking her bow, she gains levels. That guy literally got beheaded. And we have all these other beautiful mods going here. There's lords slashing it out with this. I got a full health bar here though, right? So we're gonna earn some athleticism on the ground in this episode. Here's a lord. He's holding up his shield. He's got a weak ass attack though, that's for sure. And okay, so there's chaos in this second level, but this is what I meant, right? We isolated the enemy, and now the enemy has another part of their force here, just sort of isolated from the rest. While we destroyed their infantry, we can move in quickly on these guys, wrap up these guys, and we should have a steamroller going. We got a lot of infantry towards the center. Let's get skirmishers here to push towards the right. We can also get archers up on that hill. Archers, horse archers. It's one of the few spots on this map where there's some elevation. Fortunately, we haven't fought in this battlefield for a while because I'm sure at the beginning of the campaign, guys, you know, you get a little tired of the exact same battlefield. You fight 4 battles in 6 episodes. It's been a while since we fought here, so I don't mind. And it's a necessary step. I think if I edited all this and just said, oh, we crushed a big Norse force, here's what happened, right? I think you guys would be slightly disappointed. And there was always a chance we could lose this battle. There isn't anymore. You can just tell from the death spam, our position, the enemy forces are reeling. This battle's over. Now we just got to make sure we don't have too many losses here at the end. Work on her bow skill a little bit. I'm not the greatest with the bow, but a little bit of practice here, and of course we're leveling her athleticism and whatnot by shooting. Looks like she's getting tactic points. And Berwyn's getting medicine skill, right? We assigned all these non-leaders to leadership positions. They'll get a bunch of perks, right? They're not spec'd out for it. They're not going to gain a huge amount, but, you know, they'll get a few perks, which will help them a little bit. And we're making this up as we go, right? We don't have anybody else who can be a leader in this campaign. It's not like I have 5 other great leaders that are options here. People are in prison, whether it's Liena, and people are dead, right? We've lost a lot of people in this campaign. It'll be interesting, you know, at some point or other just to look and sort of reminisce all the people we've lost, because you can go to your clan page and actually see it all. You can see, you know, you've had 19 people die in combat, and 2 people die of old age. You know, Marshal Sachs died of old age, but mostly it's been combat, and that is the sound we like to hear, right? Troops cheering and the drums beating here as the villagers and the people that we assisted here, the city, are very happy, and that's a really good result. And lots of death, but none of it's ours, right? Beautiful. We just killed the enemy here, killed their nobles. They're all bleeding out on the battlefield, and a successful first battle here for Isegund. I want that black axe. Take that axe from her, whatever the one that's black. We're not taking looters, but we'll take these bandits. I got to get some prisoners here. Let's see how we're going to do this. We're going to drop a few troops in the garrison here, so I think, again, for the sake of brevity, we're going to go ahead and edit this a little bit. I'm going to dump a few of these really weak troops in the garrison here, grab some food, sell some loot, buy some horses, etc., and we will be right back. Make some food. They got some armies
It's been
trying
a
to
while.
escape here. You don't need to see this shit. They're wrapped up. Come with us. There's a few more troops we could gather from Varriksend Castle, and we're definitely going to make it to Sarget. There's a huge garrison there, and all these garrisons that we've been stashing up this whole time are really starting to pay off now. Yeah, this is how you recover from a disastrous defeat. There's 1,100 defenders there. We have time to siege something. I mean, we could go offensive, or we could fight a Sturgian force here. Corain, that is Caladog's daughter, is still in this campaign. I think that element is cool. She married into the Sturgians. Love that aspect of Bannerlord, and she's coming up here to siege Ox Hall. And look at who's in the army. Zuvan, some other beasts. They have 4 nobles and 1,600 troops. Well, and you see the stats, right? These stats are altered. These are not normal for Bannerlord. Those hit points from that medicine skill is going to be ridiculous. And of course, Zuvan was one of my original characters that I played for YouTube footage on the channel. He obviously didn't have 396 medicine skill, but their army's stronger than ours. So let's see. Discretion is the better part of valor here. We have a fledgling army, right? We're still leveling up. We've got a good core of maybe 400 or 500 troops, and the back half is going to be really weak. So let's take a defensive stand here. If she wants to fight, we will fight her on our terms. And if not, I think we will head south, right? She's going to have a hell of a time sieging Ox Hall by herself. We should be able to return. I don't think I'll initiate combat. She's got a huge amount of Fiend champions. So let's see if we can get her to attack us at the village here. I have fought at this village before. This village should be named the village where your enemy dies, because it's a tactician's wet dream. And indeed, they're eager to engage. She's eager to engage. It's almost a 50-50 fight on the power bar, which is a good sign, right? That means not their whole army is stacked. They must have some weak troops, because we do too. Now, it's still going to be hard. The medicine skill is going to give their troops, literally, some of their troops are going to have 250, 300 hit points. So, I'm going to take every single precaution here. Crack the mental knuckles here, and let's come up with a devious tactical plan. Thorjan Haukson. 358 medicine skills. Wow, I mean, these guys are just... yeah, it's going to be gnarly. This gal's nothing special, but still, three of the nobles in this fight are monster powerful, and it's a downpour. Wonder if there'll be thunder and lightning too. Love the effects from this realistic weather mod. Now, we're basically going to be like Napoleon with the 1800 campaign. Where should we kill him here? We basically get to choose. We're going to have multiple different locations we can try to kill them. This is what makes the most sense to me here. There's a very tight, narrow, shallow area there where the enemy's likely to approach us through the lake, which is the worst thing they could possibly do, although the right side here actually has a peekaboo ridge and a blind flank. So we have options. If they do come towards the left, it'll be best. But if they come right, we will pivot and adjust. First, second, third. Let's take a look at the troops here. First division is like 80 or 90% sergeants. That looks great. There's even some sergeants in the 3rd division, so our army might be stronger than I thought. You know, of course, we're upgrading in these battles. You keep winning battles and your army gets successively stronger. Of course, this is our first wave, too. Our first 500-600 troops rated to be high-end units. So will the enemies. Lots of sharpshooters, archers. And look at that. It's almost like these archers have a friend. There's a crossbow and a Fiend champ or high-end archer standing next to each other. They've got a great position there, buttressed by that big, long building. We'll move up infantry and cavalry depending on what they do. And I like what I see here, right? We've got a skirmisher division. We can get some of these captains assigned. Turin is kind of a two-handed guy. And George the Bandit King, skirmisher captain. It's been a little while since we had George the Bandit King in the army. I love that we still have George in the campaign leading his bandit empire, right? He's got 2 or 3 castles in the city. And it is weird to have the female voice. Maybe it's driving you guys crazy. I don't know. It kind of is what it is. I'm not going to give her a sex change mid-campaign. Although, if you're mid-campaign, there's 80 more episodes, fellas. No, we are definitely late campaign. 6th, 7th. I have skirmishers in the 6th and the horse archers here just waiting to flank and assault, right? These guys, whenever the enemy comes over the ridge or comes into this center area, we're going to pivot and then dump javelins, dump horse archer arrows. We still have some Consguards and some heavy horse archers, which I think is a great feature. A lot of those units literally came from Hal when he was part of the Khazad Empire. Well, it was Rylan too. Rylan, it wasn't King Rylan. Here's one of their nobles right here. I'm gonna smoke this guy. This looks like the big Nordic dude. Of course, they just won't die. We got a whole bunch of Fiend champs too. Yeah, so this enemy force is loaded for bear. Gets shot in the jugular. Alright, we can start to open fire here. The infantry division is perfectly positioned so that it can clamp off any kind of a monsoon surge. If they start surging through the water over here, we're going to just shut the door. You want some to come through. It's almost like a keep defense, right? And let's do this too. Let's send cavalry in there. You're like, well, you're suiciding your cavalry in the water. And we're gonna block it up with a bunch of horse meat, and then we're gonna tell our guys to get off. And we're gonna have those guys get onto their boots. Their boots are gonna get wet, but they're gonna leave a whole bunch of horses in the way of the enemy. Even more shit for the enemy to sort of sift their way through. All the while, they're getting hit with arrows. They're gonna get dumped on javelins. This is going to be savage. Okay, they are sending a bunch of cavalry to our right, so we're going to have to watch our right flank. I have 1 cav division buttressing that side, and if we have to, we can rotate the 6th division, the skirmishers. See this cav division here? I'm just going to lay it across the valley, this little village. We're going to trample some of their cabbage and leeks and shit here in their garden, but that's all right. It beats serfdom. All right, their infantry is close enough. Let's move our infantry up. Fire, right? Let's have all of these skirmishers and lake rats and Skolderbroda unleash hell. Shove this square right into the enemy forces. Our banner knights are making their way out, right? All our cavalry we dismounted. They're getting killed. I see guys getting hacked and cut down, but we're getting a lot of kills and a lot of damage in while they get dropped. They just killed our Eagle Standard dude, and there's a whole bunch of Falksmen at the back. So we really want to keep these archers here as long as we can. Those Falksmen are highly vulnerable archers. The shields will protect them, but if we can kill a lot of these shields at the front here, God, they just won't die. We're just hitting them over and over again with arrows, and they're not dying. Die! Look at this shit. 156, 50-something. That guy didn't die. I did at least 200 to that dude, and he didn't die. Alright, so 3rd Division just arrived behind me here. This guy's confused. Let's send them in. There's like weak-ass pikemen. The 4th and 6th are here too, so we've got more shields. If we need to, we can back up our archers. There's some cavalry up there attacking our units. Let's have the 6th Division charge. These guys here can do some good work. I mean, they're not great infantry, but it adds to the fray, and that's a lot of death, man. You can do all the tactics in the world if you're facing artificially loaded to the gills units. It may not save you. Come on, boys. Kill him. This guy's in here just rampaging. I mean, what a hail of arrows. They've got to die there, right? I see wildlings. I see Fiend champs. We've got a good-looking first wave here. I mean, there's Consguards and Sword Sisters on horses there. Kill them. The enemy should be dying here. They're totally jammed up in the water. I guess we can shoot a little bit. I don't think... I don't know. I mean, the nice thing with archery is it's safe, right? I can sort of sit here mixed in with the skirmishers. Even though they've got infantry right at the edge of the water here, we're going to have to watch out. Kill that Falksman. I'm like watching him with my peripheral. just shooting into the masses of troops, and we're getting overwhelmed here. Their infantry just blew through our 6th Division. Alright, let's send those guys down. We just got, looks like reinforcements. These are 1st Division reinforcements. Let's pull them back. I see a lot of javelins in there. I don't know if you can see it, but they look like a lot of lake rats. Lake rat veterans, probably. This is our 2nd tier infantry, so these are reinforcements. We want to use those javelins. So what I'm going to do here is switch the 2 different divisions. The 1st Division is going to switch to a skirmisher role. We'll pull them back, get these horses back on their cons guards back on their horses here. I got to get on horse to command. And now we're going to use that 6th Division as an offensive division or a square. We'll kite back just a little bit here. This wave is defeated. I just don't want to lose a bunch of archers. Out of the way. I don't want to lose a bunch of archers at the last second here. We get horse archers in a nice defensive position, skirmishers. So the 1st Division, I'm telling this mostly for myself, is now skirmishers, right? So I want those guys on a flank, overlooking the enemy. And it looks like that wave is wiped out, or they're regrouping. They're kind of heading the other direction. We've got a ton of troops up here. And that 1st Division, oh shit, they just threw like 100 javelins at one guy. You can see all the javelins sticking out of the house. That was like machine gun fire. I think you guys killed him. What do they got going on here? Is there cavalry? Oh, there it is. Okay, we got to jump on this shit. Their cavalry is jammed up on the banks with the rest of their infantry. This is a no hesitation charge, flank, horse archers, cavalry, 4th, 5th Division skirmishers. Let's keep 1 infantry division pressuring them from the front. But we got to get this 1st Division spread out. 212 units in that 1st Division. We're going to be able to chuck javelins in there until they are dead. Right, this is going to be a massacre. I don't know why they're stuck here. I think half the troops are trying to pull back. Whatever the reason, we're going to take advantage of it. You don't see the AI get in a bad situation like this. And I'm always reminded of Friedland, 1807, where Napoleon had Benningsen trapped against the river. And the poor Russian general was like vacillating, wasn't sure what to do, sent his forces forward. The reinforcements of Napoleon's army arrived, and it was fucking curtains. And Napoleon told one of his chief marshals, I think it was Marshal Ney, charge. I don't care how many fucking troops you lose. Charge. We must keep the enemy pressed to the river. If it was Ney, whoever it was, they did their duty, and the enemy was fucking routed. A lot of the Russians basically fled across the river and drowned. Look at even their horse archers, because they're trying to circle counterclockwise, and this is what I meant about this village. The enemy could not be in a worse spot here. We have horse archers. Archers will be in place soon. Skirmishers are going to be in place soon. And all of our troops have the enemy pinned up against the river here. We've still got troops boring into the center. The only chance they could do here, only thing they could do is retreat. But the whole time they retreat, they're going to get shelled. Our horse archers are still scorching them from behind. Now, they're going to get reinforcements soon. I do have to keep looking behind me here. But right now, this is just... You can't get in a worse situation than this. And what's even nicer... Oh, shit, I see you trying to throw javelins at me. What's even nicer is that they won't bleed make this town all bloody. Right? It's just going to be right in the lake here. The lake will have all kinds of algae and, you know, all kinds of growth from all the extra nitrogen, but it won't fuck with the town. Okay, shit, let's move these horse archers out of here. They do have reinforcements. And they're chucking javelins by the thousands. Let's get another division higher up here and keep on flanking. The bottom line is, as long as they want to stay towards the river, they're in the water. We already have position on the water in the river. I don't know if that was a full reinforcement wave or what. That was strange. This guy's trying to hit me right in the face with javelins. I must have did 200 to that guy too. Oh shit, okay, that's tons of reinforcements. Let's get some infantry lines realigned here. Our cavalry's vulnerable, our archers are vulnerable right now, but that's going to change. We should be able to get troops that direction in a hurry and keep moving this 1st Division forward too. All these skirmishers, they're going to eat. Get these horse archers safe. I'm trying to keep our horse archers from getting mauled. Oh shit, the 2nd Division. I forgot you guys. Charge, fire. I got a handful of cavalry behind us here. I gotta get back to the front though. Let's just make sure that's under wraps. The 2nd Division is going to shoot those guys to pieces. Let's make sure that our forward-moving frontier is in good position. They are. They got 281 down there by the field. Let's just continue a charge here and keep pressing. We might be able to get skirmishers to our right flank here again, buttressed by the house. Okay, so here are the weak troops. The enemy does have weak troops, and these aren't regrouping troops. These are routing troops. This enemy's had enough. And Queen Isagun hits her stride. Right? It's taken a few battles to get going here. I haven't really felt comfortable, but her skills are starting to rip, right? And it's like riding a bicycle. Our units are starting to upgrade. A pretty quick recovery here from that disastrous loss. 260 polearm. She's gaining tactics points. All right. She's never going to be a boss leader because she's not very intelligent. She's stupid Henry's sister. But I think we can do enough here to make this army kind of, a B- compared to how it was with King Hal. We're still going to have to figure out, how to win without the A team, but it's a pretty good B team here. And trying to see how, all that excitement to see 2 kills by George the Bandit King. Looks like he played safe. Oh shit, here you go. Here's Apollo. Your dude's here. He's got 2 arrows in the neck, dude. I knew your dude was tough. Love this shit. This is one of the guys that's been coming by the Patreon and the Discord a lot. Wanted to be in the campaign. There you are, brother. You're on the front lines with arrows in your neck. Love that shit. Stressful. Only 500 losses, but man, that battle felt like it could have gone either way. Come with us, right? Where are the rest of them? Where's Zuvan? Nobody took him? Hold on to Zuvan. Zuvan's the kind of guy we park in a city and basically lord over the Norse, the Sturgians. Yeah, one of the arch killers of this campaign. The other one I'm worried about, of course, is what is it? Glaron Heavy Hand, right? There's a couple of really heavy-hitting enemies still left for the Norse. They still have King Canute as well. He keeps escaping. These guys, you're not getting out of here. So they fled, evidently, to the edge of the battlefield. Come with us. We can just auto-resolve this. I'm trying to think of how much we're going to edit out. This is going to be an hour. We're going to wrap this up. I'm gonna keep playing, but we're gonna wrap this up here because I don't want these episodes to be an hour and a half, 2 hours long. I don't know how much I'm gonna edit out of this. We are gonna edit some of the selling trinkets and buying this food and splitting the troops across these 4 different companions and stuff like that. So we'll try to make this expeditious for you fellas. Is that the word? We'll try to make it expedient. We got to get to Verexan, get some more reinforcements. We got to get down to Sargat. We got other castles on fire. Shit's being sieged, but that's a good start, right? Atta girl. Queen Isagun takes the helm, and so far, a few bumps in the road, but victory, right? Victory is still victory. And she is King Hal's sister, after all. Do a few upgrades. We don't need to do that shit. Of course, if you guys want to see more, now's your time to subscribe. Hit that like button on the way out, friends. I appreciate you folks. Apollo, everybody else. I will see you next time.